Welcome to the Fairway Fortunes channel, where golf meets wealth. What if I told you that one of the biggest golf content groups on YouTube, a crew that turned casual rounds with friends into a multi-million-dollar empire, nearly fell apart overnight? Good Golf wasn't just a channel, it was a movement. But behind the trick shots, the laughs, and the Callaway deal worth millions, cracks began to form. Members walked away, fans were stunned, and whispers started swirling. Was this all about money, control, or something much deeper? Good Golf didn't begin as some master plan to dominate YouTube. It started as a handful of friends who just wanted to make golf fun again. Garrett Clark, better known as GM Golf, was already uploading trick shots, quirky challenges, and casual course vlogs before the group even had a name. He wasn't chasing PGA Tour status, he was chasing creativity. And that energy pulled others in. Soon guys like Micah Morris, Grant Horvat, Matt Scharf, Steven Castaneda, and Tom Bubby Broaders joined in. Each brought something different. Micah had the competitive edge, Grant had the clean swing and charisma, Matt brought humor, Bubby brought chaos, and Steve just made everything feel authentic. Together they clicked. Their chemistry wasn't polished, it was raw, a little chaotic, but real. And that's what viewers loved. They weren't just watching golf. They were watching personalities they could actually relate to. For an audience tired of stiff coverage of majors or perfect swing tutorials, Good felt like the boy band of golf. Approachable, funny, and full of energy. Within a few years, they went from casual uploads to hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and then to millions. Golf had suddenly gone viral, and Good was at the center of it. But as their following exploded, so did the stakes. Because when your channel becomes an empire, the game changes. With millions of views pouring in, it was only a matter of time before the business world came calling. The turning point came in 2023, when Good struck a massive partnership with Callaway Golf. And this wasn't your average sponsorship deal. It wasn't just free clubs and logos slapped on shirts. It was a full-scale collaboration. Custom gear, branded apparel, even co-developed clubs. Suddenly, Good wasn't just a YouTube group. They were corporate partners with one of the biggest names in golf. To fans, it looked like the dream scenario. The guys who once filmed scrappy course vlogs were now sitting at the table with billion-dollar brands. But behind the scenes, things got complicated. Deals of this size don't just hand out perks, they come with obligations. Merch had to drop on schedule. Videos had to align with branding. Content had to fit a corporate image. And for a group built on freedom and spontaneity, that shift was huge. Some members loved it. Others started to wonder if the very thing that made Good fun was slowly being traded away for business commitments. Because growth doesn't just give you more opportunities, it also narrows your choices. And for Grant and Micah, that narrowing started to feel like a problem. On camera, Good looked unstoppable. The laughs, the challenges, the endless energy. But behind the scenes, cracks were starting to show. Grant Horvat had become one of the group's breakout stars. Fans loved his smooth swing and calm personality, but Grant himself was beginning to feel the weight of creative differences. He wanted to lean into more serious golf content, sharpen his own identity, and not just be one of the boys. Micah Morris, meanwhile, was chasing a different dream altogether, competing at a higher level, focusing on professional golf, and building a career that required a different kind of discipline than daily challenge videos. The problem? Good's content formula was heading in the opposite direction. The group was doubling down on wild match play formats, goofy trick shots, and sponsor-driven videos. That chaos was fun for the audience. But for Grant and Micah, it wasn't what they wanted their names attached to long-term. Fans began to sense the tension. Rumors spread online. Was Grant unhappy with the direction? Was Micah frustrated about being boxed into YouTube content instead of pursuing competitive golf? Nothing was said outright, but the vibe was different. And when creative visions start pulling in opposite directions, no amount of views can hold a group together. When money gets involved, the question always shifts from what's fun to who really owns what. And in Good's case, that question loomed large. Behind the smiles and coarse banter, there were whispers that not every member had the same level of stake in the company. Founders like Garrett and Matt reportedly held more control, while others, including Grant, may not have had equal equity. On paper, that doesn't always matter. But when million-dollar deals start landing on the table, it suddenly matters a lot. The Callaway partnership made things even trickier. Big contracts usually mean big obligations. Not just to film more, but to align with brand rules, equipment choices, even long-term strategy. If you're holding a smaller slice of ownership, yet carrying the same workload and restrictions, resentment can grow fast. Fans speculated online. Was Grant being boxed out of the bigger picture? Was Micah frustrated that contracts tied him down when he wanted to compete freely? Neither man has ever laid it all out, but the signs were there. Their exits weren't just about creative vision. There may have been deeper frustrations tied to ownership, power, and the freedom to make choices on their own terms. Because once contracts start shaping content, the line between friendship and business gets blurry, and that blur can break bonds that once felt unshakable. At its core, this wasn't just about contracts or content styles. It was also about life choices. Both Grant and Micah were at turning points in their personal journeys. Grant had gotten married and started focusing more on stability, family, and carving out an identity outside of the group dynamic. The constant filming, the travel, the brand obligations, it all clashed with the lifestyle he was building. For him, stepping away wasn't just about golf. It was about creating space for a different kind of life. Micah, on the other hand, was still chasing the dream of competitive golf. He wanted to sharpen his skills, enter tournaments, and see how far he could push himself against real competition. Daily filming schedules and sponsor obligations made that almost impossible. To him, leaving Good wasn't quitting. It was doubling down on his own vision. And that's where the split hit hardest. What started as a group of friends having fun had become a business machine. For some members, that was exciting. For Grant and Micah, it was suffocating. The decision to walk away wasn't just about disagreements. It was about values, priorities, and how each of them saw their future. When the split finally came, it shocked fans everywhere. First, Micah stepped away. Then Grant followed not long after. Their exits felt abrupt, with little warning beyond vague hints that something wasn't right. Both departures were framed with carefully chosen words. Grant told viewers the group was heading in a different direction and that he needed to focus on his own path. Micah said something similar, emphasizing his commitment to competitive golf. The statements were polite, respectful, but also incredibly vague. And in the world of YouTube, vague explanations only fuel speculation. Good for their part, tried to smooth things over. They released messages saying they had done everything they could to keep Grant, even throwing the kitchen sink at him with offers. But sometimes no amount of money or negotiation can fix a mismatch in vision. The aftermath was messy in its own way. Fans divided into camps, some loyal to Grant and Micah, others sticking with Good. Rumors flew on Reddit and golf forums about contracts, disagreements, and whether NDAs were keeping the truth hidden. Despite that noise, both sides stayed publicly cordial. Grant went on to grow his own channel, while Micah pursued competitive golf. Good carried on, bringing in new collaborations and pushing their brand bigger than ever. But to this day, the exact reasons behind the exits remain partly in the shadows. And maybe that's the clearest sign that the breakup wasn't just about content. It was about things too personal and too private to ever fully reveal. Good Golf's breakup wasn't the kind of drama you see splashed across tabloids, but in many ways, it was even more revealing. It showed the hidden tension that comes when friendship collides with business, and when personal values start to clash with brand obligations. Grant and Micah didn't leave because the group failed. They left because the group succeeded. That success brought contracts, commitments, and pressures that shifted what Good was at its core. For some, that shift was exciting. For others, it was suffocating. In the end, it all comes down to a choice every creator faces: chase growth at all costs, or protect the freedom that made you love creating in the first place. Good kept building the empire. Grant and Micah chose to walk away. And maybe that's the real lesson here. In a world where views and sponsorships can change everything overnight, the hardest decision isn't leaving money on the table. It's walking away to stay true to yourself.